All right, so my next batch of gear here. This is a duffel bag that I use for storing all my tip-ups. And in that bag, I've got a plastic tote. And in this tote, I've got pretty much everything I need. I've got my leaders for northern and walleye here wrapped around pieces of foam. These work out really well. In fact, if you look, I probably need to make some more leaders because I'm running short. You know, you get bit off from these northerns here on the Madison chain. I use usually like a 25-pound fluorocarbon on the leader, and they've been pretty good for me for the most part. I've also got a little reel winder in here. Paul Kangas made that for me. Thanks, Paul. Look at that. It's even got my initials in there. I've got tip-up lights in here. I've got all these little bobbers. These are marker bobbers. We use the marker bobbers for determining depth, so that you always have a consistent depth. I've got some extra treble hooks in here, some sinkers. I've got an emergency flashlight just to have along in case my headlamp dies out. And I've got, of course, all my tip-up lights as well. These tip-up lights are just great to use. They're really fun. And there's nothing like seeing a blinking red light or an orange light in the middle of the night. All right, so that's my, this is the bin. Again, I'll have to make some leaders, and maybe we can do that in a future show. So let's take a look at what we've got here in the bag besides that. These are my tip-up markers. Some people don't mark their tip-ups, but I like to, especially when we're fishing in a big group of guys. There's been times where we've had, you know, 6 or 7 guys out there fishing, which means you can have 20, 21 tip-ups out there, and it can get pretty crazy as determining whose tip-up is who. They also help you see find your tip-up easily, and especially at night. And it also helps mark it to keep away from other people, so that someone's driving an ATV or a snowmobile, they're going to see your tip-up. So these are just pieces of PVC pipe, and we've just wrapped them with black tape and some fluorescent orange tape and some glow-in-the-dark tape here. So when your flashlight hits that or your headlamp hits that, they really stand out. And it's really great having these, especially when it's, you know, 10:30, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're going to pick up, and you're trying to find your tip-ups. You're not going to miss them with this. So I've got a bunch of those in my bag, and see what else. I've got a tape measure. Here's that IKEA tape measure I was talking about. Only $1 from IKEA. And I've got scissors in here. It's always nice to have. Jaw spreader, always nice. I've got a pouch actually upstairs in the boat. I got to move it out of the boat, but I've got a pouch that I use to hook on the side of a bucket, and that works out pretty well to hold all my tools. So that way they're nice and ready for me. And then of course I've got my tip-ups. I've got a variety of tip-ups. This is a first ice tip-up. It's a pretty cheap tip-up, but I've got this purple flag on this one. We call this the Purple Explosion, and I've had some pretty good luck with this tip-up. In fact, I haven't even removed the leader from last year on this, so that's something I need to do here tonight, is remove all the leaders off of these tip-ups. As I think I just threw them in the bag and was done fishing and moved on to other things. But so, and then here's some beaver dams that I've got. Again, they still have the leaders on there, so we'll take those off. This is one of my first beaver dam tip-ups I ever bought. Again, we got the leaders on there. Here's another tip-up marker. Here's another tip-up. And you know, one thing that's nice to do is, you know, you can only have 3 lines per person, but I always take extra tip-ups just in case something malfunctions. If you've got, you know, problems or whatever, you get a bad tangle, or, you know, maybe a fish spools you and somehow the line comes off the spool, which it shouldn't, but so it's always good to have an extra tip-up. I'm out there, got a little scoop for minnows, another needle nose pliers. Oh, here's my pouch. This is the pouch I use. It's got a little hook on it right here, and you can hook that on the side of a bucket. And we've got a hook remover. This baby is pretty cool. It's an arrow with an old school hook remover on the end. It's got a little cork on this end. Paul Kangas made this for me as well, and this works really well for getting down, removing a hook out of a Northern that's down deep. So I think that's pretty much it. So that's what we've got here in this bag. I've got a bunch of other tip-ups over here in the basement, but right now I'm going to remove the leaders off of there. But that's my tip-up bag, just like that. So yeah, so we're going to make some. We're going to take the leaders off. We're going to organize my bin here, and we'll be all set.